A civil society group, Action Against Trafficking in Persons Cluster, has called for media support to combat trafficking in persons. The program's director, Mr. Timothy Eje, made the call when he led a delegation on an advocacy engagement with the Nigeria Union of Journalists NUJ Council Chairman, Mr. Emmanuel Ogbeche, in Abuja. Eje said that the initiative was anchored by the Justice Development and Peace Commission (JDPC) of the Archdiocese of Abuja to implement the strengthening civic advocacy and local engagement skill components of the project. The project, titled Galvanizing Action for Effective Countering of Trafficking in Persons Regime in Nigeria, seeks increased funding of NAPTIP, the focal agency, reactivation of the Trust Fund for Victims of Trafficking, and improvement of prosecution of traffickers. Eje called on all stakeholders to do more to ensure the arrest and confiscation of the proceeds of trafficking.
We feel that we can come in to support them to be able to deliver on their mandate, because there's a whole lot they've been saddled with, which is NAPTIP. Now, we have discovered that they are severely underfunded. And of course, when you don't have funding, you don't have manpower, you won't be able to achieve any results per se. And so we have come in here as one of our advocacy acts to push for reforms, to see how NAPTIP can be properly funded to be able to carry out the mandate given to them by the government. And also we have also discovered that there is this weak political drive towards prosecution of traffickers. There's a whole lot of traffickers that are just out there, and nobody is pushing to ensure that they are put in their place, and as well as to confiscate the proceeds of trafficking. Because when you allow them to go on with this their nefarious trade and nothing is done about it, then they will be emboldened. They will be strengthened to do what they are doing, and they will continue to do it, and nobody will stop them. So we are working around these three advocacy acts. And we have discovered that the media is the fourth estate. You have your way of pushing for advocacy issues and talking to the government, and even bringing the public as well to be part of any advocacy acts that we push for. And so we feel that you'll be very, very instrumental to what we are pushing for, so that there can be a reform in our advocacy acts. And so that is why we are here today, to say thank you for the good work you are doing, and we also want you to please make a case around our advocacy acts, which is first, to increase funding for NAPTIP, second, for speedy prosecution of traffickers, and then the reactivation of Victim of Trafficking Trust Fund.
In his response, the FCT Council Chairman assured the team of the union's support to combat trafficking in persons. Ogbeche called for the creation of a database for proper records and easy identification of impacts made. Ogbeche commended the team for seeking collaboration to strengthen synergy, demand political will in the prosecution of traffickers and confiscation of their illicit gains, as well as the resuscitation of the Trafficking Trust Fund. He, however, frowned at the rate of illegal migrations and called for a searchlight on internal migration.
I do not know if there is a database, because data is life. And that is one major challenge we have in this part of the world. And as a cluster, I think you must begin to look in the direction of having a credible database. Most times when we talk about irregular migration, we do not focus on the internal dynamics. You understand? We lose focus. There are hundreds of young girls and boys that are brought into Abuja for prostitution, for forced labor, and all sorts of things. And I think it's important that when we talk about some of these issues, we should also look at what is happening in our local communities, so that we can from here begin to look at what is happening outside. When it comes to matters of human development, which irregular migration and having a society that works, these are issues that can be adequately funded and should be properly funded. I want to make a commitment. that I think that there is need for us to have a stakeholders conversation, like a town hall meeting. You understand? And the NUJ is willing to offer its premises. We have a big hall that is, and we can also take a lead in partnering with you to hold a conversation in terms of some of these issues that you have raised. We want to say that the NUJ is willing to build synergy with this cluster, and draw government's attention to some of the issues you have raised. And after now, we will make a demand of government, on all of this issue, as well as the reactivation of the trafficking fund. Because if there is a police fund and there is no trafficking fund, the work of the police won't be helped, or the security agencies. So when you address one crime, by having a fund that properly tackles this issue, even in terms of rehabilitation, it does go a long way, in addressing these concerns you have raised. So I welcome you on behalf of the NUJ, FCT, and assure you that we will work closely with you in realizing your objectives.